happens. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Prepper Trifecta. I'm Eric. We got Shay here from Prepper Logic as usual, and we might get JJ back again. We'll see. So I don't think we have any. There's one watching now. So let me pop out this chat. Who's the first? 762. Thanks for coming in.
All right, 762.
Pop out chat. Is that reference to 7.62?
76239. 76252. What was the other one? 53.
54. There's a couple. Yeah. Exactly. Party time. I have my beverage of choice here. Oh, it was hacked by the Russians though, and it overflowed when I opened it.
Did it?
So the night's not off to a good start yet.
It's not good.
Yeah.
762.
This is another one that I didn't do too well on the memes. The week I've got one, I think, and it's kind of generic. I think I'm going to open up.
Did we do them last week? We didn't do them.
I don't think we did. I don't think we did. I think I'll open up for next week. I'll probably do like a mini meme contest. I'll come up with some sort of prize and have everyone email me their memes, and whoever gets the best one gets a prize or something. Like that. That way I'll have like a nice meme storage.
Yeah. Hey, this was okay. I guess you could do that. Or what we could do is like vote on it and get a third guest on, and that'll be the tiebreaker. So that way it has to be a tiebreaker.
True.
Through whatever ones we present. So
that's true. I'll present them, and whoever has the winning one of the ones that make the air. So if they're too spicy, they won't be able to make it.
You know what we could do is I'll sponsor that. I'll buy one of your fishing kits, and then you can ship it to the winner or something like that.
Yeah, we can just. I was going to do the tins because I have the tins now that you can make your own kit of whatever. So yeah, I have the little ones and the second size one. So I'll send like 4 of those out to somebody because they're cheap and lightweight to.
Cool, man.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm liking like half of my head is.
Yeah, you're kind of ghostly here.
My beard disappears.
I think what is the background? Your normal background? Because my guess is that if you had a really solid color like pink or green background, then you wouldn't have that issue because it would be able to tell at a party easily.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you're right. Pink. No, I'm not going to dress up part of my place in pink. My buddies
go with the green then, all right? The pink is just
Hey, Jay, what's going on, man?
I thought maybe you had some pink rolls of fabric lying around. I don't know.
Yeah, I need some pink. I need some pink paint.
Yeah, I need 40 yards of fuchsia fabric for some, it's prepping related. Don't worry about it.
Mark Olson, familiar name. Thanks for joining
us. I have a meme. Drop your email. It's rulethewasteland@gmail.com, or you can find me on Twitter @MongoAggression.
It's funny about Evil Blonde.
Yeah.
I was thinking about her earlier. I think it's funny how Evil Blonde isn't gender specific.
That's true. I always assume. Yeah. What if it's just like giant fat dude this whole time?
Yeah. Exactly. But by default, we saw the word evil. It could have been, crazy or psycho blonde, whatever. Just like, okay, it must be a woman.
It's really some like Swedish guy named Oli with like a giant beard.
How's your week been, man?
It's been good. Like I said, it went by quick, but interesting in the news, but otherwise for me fairly uneventful. So just busy working, but
yes.
Yeah, so I titled this one 9 days. I think it's 9 days, right? What will happen in 9 days?
Is it 9 days away?
Yeah, because a week is to Sunday, and then it's on Tuesday. So 9 days to the day of the election.
Cool.
So, you know what I'm thinking, though? I still think Trump will win. I will say I'm actually more confident than I was a month ago.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I will say that a month ago, I thought he would win, but I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't. At this point, I would be actively surprised if he didn't win. I wouldn't be totally flabbergasted, but I would be surprised. I think his chances are better than they were a month ago. And I also think, and you have to let me know what you think about this, but I feel like the larger the margin by which he wins, the less of civil unrest there will be. I think there will be some regardless. But I think if it's like a total demoralizing blowout, they'll just be like, and only the really angry factions in the big cities will really pop off. Whereas if it's a contested, close, drug out thing for a week and a half to where one of the two win, I think that will have the most kind of people acting out. To where there's literally, you know what I mean, like a conflict for 2 or 3 days, and then some weird court somewhere decides it based on some hanging chads or whatever. Like happened in Florida.
Well,
But
I can't predict the future. It's speculation, and I don't know. I honestly don't know. But if I were to gamble, if I were a gambling man, JG seems to be in alignment with what you're suggesting too. Is like,
yeah,
I think he said last week, mega landslide. Trump is going to win mega landslide. Well, he didn't say mega, but landslide.
yeah,
I'm, what I want and what I think is going to happen are two different things. So I should clarify
correct. Yeah, exactly. Just predicting
So-
something doesn't mean that's what you necessarily want to happen.
My prediction is this is going to piss off a lot of people, but I actually think Biden might win this. Just
Interesting.
throwing that out there.
What do
Maybe
you, what do you base that on when you look at the situation?
Maybe it's the filters that I see in the news and the media here in Canada.
Mhm.
Generally speaking, it's most of the stations here are left leaning. The main radio station here in Canada, the CBC, the TV station, let alone radio, very left wing or Democratic, I
True.
should say. And the information I'm getting, or at least the suggestions, are that a lot of what are quote unquote swing states, like Florida was a big swing state apparently,
Mhm.
where there's two or three states where Trump didn't win previously, and people are suggesting that he's losing or he has lost the confidence of some of those major states. So correct me if I'm wrong, but is Florida a swing state? And what's your opinion on
It's considered a swing state for this election in the past few. He took it in 2016. I think Florida was actually the one that I was least confident about probably a month ago. But now I think, like, again, I'd be surprised if he lost Florida. And for me,
Okay.
Pennsylvania is now the one that I'm the most kind of questioning of the ones that I do think he'll win. I see in general, like I said, I don't see any reason to think that he will lose any state that he won in 2016. No strong reason. But Pennsylvania's the one where I'm closest because they've been doing a bunch of weird shit. They just had a state Supreme Court ruling that mail ballots, the signatures don't even have to match if you send it in. So they're obviously trying really hard in Pennsylvania, and it's pretty solid, it's a big state with 20 electoral votes. He doesn't have to get it to win. If he wins Florida and the Midwest states, like Michigan, Wisconsin and stuff, then he doesn't have to necessarily get Pennsylvania, but it would be a blow to not get it. And certainly it would be almost impossible to win without getting either Florida or Pennsylvania. But I think Florida is actually pretty safe at this point. When he won in 2016, the Republicans had a deficit in new voter registrations of about 300,000, and they still won the state by about 100,000 votes. Now they actually have an edge in new voter registration. So I think that their gap there should be even bigger than it was in 2016 is my guess.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Fair. Now, we've got a gentleman, William McCaslin. It's a nice British name, Scottish name, McCaslin, who's saying that all the polls have Biden in the lead. And that's something I'm hearing up here too. And when you hear that, it would suggest that people that are leading the polls might win. Now, I'm not saying that's, I don't know what's going to happen, but if I were to guess, unfortunately, I see Biden taking it, and I see a huge dispute with Trump. So what's your take on that? And I know polls can shift and change, and polls can be biased.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of everything. I think that they obviously were wrong in 2016. And if you look at if you compare by dates, they're very close, to where those polls were at this point in 2016 with Hillary Clinton. And I haven't heard of anything in particular that was done to try and make up for how and why they were wrong in 2016. They're still oversampling of Democrats. They're still, I think some of that's purposeful. Some of it's just based on the fact that stuff doesn't really apply anymore, especially with Trump. They always rely on likely voters, because obviously you can find out who everyone wants to win, but if they don't go out and vote, then that doesn't matter if more people vote or support someone. It's actually who votes for them. So they try to get around that by polling likely voters, people who have voted for this past several elections. But in 2016 and even now, Trump has always done a really good job of getting new people out who are always saying, you know what, I've never voted before, but this time I am. So they're completely outside of the polling process. Add into that the quote unquote shy Trump voter. Like, you would get ridiculed for admitting you vote for Trump in 2016. Now you might get outright attacked. So I definitely think the propensity for people to just be a little bit surreptitious about who they're voting for is just as strong as ever. add in
Yes.
the purposeful bias, of them polling more, that slightly more Democrat, like maybe 60-40 in the group were Democrats. It doesn't mean they're going to vote for Biden, but obviously it has an effect. Or just focusing on certain areas of the country where even the Republicans there were probably more likely to vote for Biden. Purposeful stuff like that. And then also add in the enthusiasm gap, where even if someone has a 5-point advantage, if 100% of those people polled saying they were going to vote for Trump show up, and only 90% of the people saying they're going to vote for Biden actually end up going and voting, all those things together can make up a pretty big gap in polling, even without there being absolute outright fraud with the polling, which there might be.
I think one other thing I'm hearing, and I absolutely correct. You've got a mega fan here, Brian.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Brian. Thank you very much. I will try to keep being
Brian,
awesome.
Yeah, ask us a question, man. You got the floor.
Yeah.
If you've got a question in all caps, that's very cool that you're supporting the trifecta. What we do here, it's a lot of fun, and I think we might get a guest on too if JJ doesn't show up.
Right.
For a few minutes, somebody from the audience that wants to be on the show. We'll talk about that shortly. But Brian, in the meantime, too, please, the floor is yours for a couple of minutes on anything.
Whenever you have a question, let us know. In the meantime, just real quick, Reverend Righteous makes a good point that you have to realize that if me or you were to conduct a poll, our goal would be to get closest to what is happening in reality. But you have to understand that these people's goal is not to be correct, it's to be right, to make themselves right. So they're using the polls to try and convince people. They don't really care about methodology, about actually, what's going on in reality. They're trying to more manifest reality than they are trying to track it. We would be using polls to actually figure out what's going on. They're using the polls to try to control what's going on.
Well, to be fair, I would say that there are segments that are using polls to.
True, it's not universal.
It's almost like the cart before the horse sort of theory, where maybe if we present this sort of mammoth impression that Biden is winning or Trump is winning, that always lead in the polls, always do this, and blah, 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 that maybe that would help create some sort of inertia to actually bring that particular individual into the lead, perhaps.
Right.
So, yeah, they could definitely be, there's cognitive dissonance, I believe it's the correct term. And there's the, where, if you're fact checking something, you're looking for an answer, but your mind is sort of already made up. You're going to Google things that sort of support what you already think.
Right.
To
confirmation bias. Yeah, confirmation bias.
Yeah. And cognitive dissonance is the term to disassociate from having the ability, or at least it supports the theory of having the ability to the incapacity to correct that.
Right.
So, it is what it is. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Whatever happened. What are you going to do? Like, okay, you and JJ are on the Trump landslide sort of. At least that's what you believe is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think will happen if you're wrong and Biden wins?
Like I said, I think the worst case scenario for civil unrest is a close election drug out where Biden wins. I think a close election where Trump wins would be second place in terms of civil unrest, and a landslide victory where Biden wins would probably also be pretty bad. And the least worst case scenario would be a landslide victory where Trump wins, because I think, like I said, it would, obviously put out there that they're not in the, there's a lot of people that wanted this to happen. They'll be pretty demoralized. There's still going to be civil unrest and acting out, lashing out, but I think that's the best of the four possible scenarios. And luckily, I think that that's the one that's closest. I don't necessarily think I would use the word landslide, but I do think he will win handily.
Right.
In terms of electoral vote anyway. So that's good. I do think that the pockets of unrest will be relegated to like the Seattles, the Portlands, the big cities. Somewhere here like Vegas, maybe, but not in the suburbs or anything. You know what I mean? So my plan is the same regardless of these scenarios, is to just be ready to be in my house and not do anything but maybe work in house for a week or two if necessary.
Yeah, and that's universal or ubiquitous amongst survivalists across the board with whatever type of disaster. To be ready, security, food, fire, water, shelter, the basics. Okay, our friend here, Brian.
Yeah.
Brian Hickenbottom. What will Trump supporters do if Biden wins or the election is contested by the president? Two different things. If Biden wins, or I don't. What will Trump supporters do? I don't know.
I don't think they'll lash out
I don't
like in
think
the
they'll lash
same
out
way or like a
necessarily.
riot per se. I do think that that will cause them to make a run on a lot of stuff. Like I think if Biden wins, stuff like ammo, if we think ammo prices are bad now, oh, just wait till Biden wins. You know what I mean? It'll be insane.
Here's the thing. I think there's going to be people on the far right that wear white pointy hats in the basements when they're having some sort of weekly get together. And it's just the way it is. I'm not suggesting that Trump supporters are racist, not by any stretch of the means. But the more right you go, it does reach this sort of lineage where you've got people that are, support one color over another. I guess we'll say. I mean, it's a polite way of saying that. Yeah, racists generally aren't on the left side of the spectrum, on the right side.
It's interesting though, because honestly, I don't know if that's true. I mean, in general, is tend to viewed as like a right thing, but a lot of these like Richard Spencer types, like he's come out and saying support Biden. They're socialist a lot of times or left leaning in a lot of other areas of their personal philosophy. So I mean, obviously there's some probably deep South redneck type racists that are obviously would be in favor of Trump, but in general, like someone being one of these like literal KKK racists doesn't automatically put them in far right politically and all the other
Fair.
quadrants.
Okay. Well, put it this way: there's extremes on both ends. So extreme left, extreme right. There's great ignorances. I think that's a fair statement. And with that said, with respect to Brian's question, what will those? I think it's part of those crowd that might lash out a little bit, or at least be very edgy or trigger happy. If they were ever contested, we may see a video or two or three or a dozen on outside of a Walmart or some sort of place that's catching incidents. But for the most part, no. I mean, Republicans, or at least conservatives here in Canada, and I generally lean more towards Republican and conservative for sure, compared to the other parties. We just want to be left alone. Or my impression is most of us are just like, it's the "don't tread on me" flag. It's just you do you, let me be me. Don't impose. I don't want to be forced by law to appease you and answer to your gender, your specified. Like I don't want any of that. Just leave us alone. So with that said, I think a majority are going to have that mentality.
Yeah, I think that as far as what they'll do, they might go out and have like a protest, and any violence will be as a result of counter protests and clashing. I don't think they'll purposely go out to be like start fires or try to do anything in particular. So there won't be much that you can do if Trump contests the election in any way. That would have to be something that plays out in the courts. Like what can you do at that point other than just support the decision or not? There's really nothing that can be done other than personally prepare.
I don't see a bunch of white guys hopping in a truck, with mullets, haircuts, and the tailgate, and half beers, with and baseball bats, and going into town to find that African American dishwasher at your Golden Griddle or whatever breakfast place you got down there. Super Burger. What's the burger place there? Mega Burger or something burger?
Here we got a lot of burger places.
Yeah, there's one. Fast In, Dine In, Dine Out. There was one.
In-N-Out.
In-N-Out, yeah.
That's the big one out west here. Is In-N-Out. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, we gotta go get that. I don't see that, but I don't see that. I don't contest it, and I think he will. If he does lose, he will definitely contest it. He's sort of suggesting that now. Trump is saying, "Well, I don't know. I can't imitate Trump, but he's planting that seed. I think, at least the media that I see here, he's like." He's suggesting inadvertently or indirectly that, if basically I think he's planting to see that if I lose, it has to be contested because there was something that fraudulently happened within the electoral system.
Right. And I think part of the reason he says stuff like that is because if he's like, no, don't worry, if I lose, I'm not going to contest it, that gives them free reign to do all sorts of shenanigans. If he's like, hey, if there's something fishy, I'm going to start looking into it, regardless of how that plays from a perspective, he's letting them know, like, I'm not just going to let you do whatever and then just walk out of here when you say you win. You know what I mean? So regardless of what he would actually do, the intent is like, don't try anything. Because it's so stupid. Like they want you to say like, no matter what, you won't contest it. It's like, well, no, not no matter what. I mean, like obviously something crazy could happen that would cause anyone to be like, whoa, what the hell happened here? You know, so why are they so intent on saying that no matter what, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
all people it's like the people who are like, you should never hit a woman no matter what. And like, what do you mean no matter what? If they have a raised knife above like your infant child or something, you're not going to hit them? Like, give me a break. Obviously, there's scenarios under which you would a reasonable person even would do these things. And there's plenty of scenarios under which a reasonable person could potentially feel the need to contest the results. It's not to say that it's likely, but you're not going to take it off the table beforehand.
Contest the judgments. Yeah, Dave
Right.
Chappelle's got a great skit on that. It's like,
Right.
and
Like what?
you know, just go for it, man.
No, I was just going to say, what if you have a county that swung the whole state and there's X number of registered voters and 2 times as many that votes came in? Saying you shouldn't contest that? Like, give me a break.
Absolutely. You know, I like the no matter what analogy, because if something is
like obviously fishy,
obviously, you know, of course you have to question. You have to go. You know,
right.
there shouldn't be any the election process. You think governments would have it down by now, especially in Canada and U.S., where it's a system, and it's impartial, it's unbiased. It has to be for the sake of democracy, and it shouldn't be a question of whether or not there's flaws or fraudulence within it. If there is, with the so-called electoral or excuse me, electronic means or methods of doing it, then just remove that and do it old school. Go in person.
Yeah, that's what I did. I went in person. I did early in person here in Vegas. Went really smoothly, honestly. I was happy with the process. So,
you see any MAGA hats down there?
No, not after. It was actually, I went pretty early. I went a few days ago. They have a lot of early voting sites in the city, so there were not many people there when I went. It was not, I didn't have to wait at all. So there was mostly poll workers more so than voters. So it has not been an issue.
Cool. All right. We need a wake-up call here. Quick. Ladies and gentlemen, Prepper Trifecta, episode number 232. And I'm joined with, well, you obviously know who the Lord Humongous is. You are on his channel. And I think we may take a guess. If you have any questions, please, all caps in the comments.
Here's one question.
Here's a question. All right.
If Biden wins, does Bitcoin skyrocket? I think that always, like right after an election, you normally see a result that's like, for whatever reason, it's opposite of what's going to happen over the next like 6 months. So like a Biden, which is how it seems to be. So I don't know. I think with both candidates, there's going to be significant money printing over the next couple of years, regardless. I think that's going to be much more with Biden than with Trump. But either way, I think Bitcoin is a good play for the next few years and just betting against the debt kind of way. Same with gold. And honestly, same with stocks. I think that in general, stock market is going to go up based purely on printing up until the point at which there's an implosion in the debt bubble, and then all that shit could go crazy. Who knows? But at that point, I think betting against the debt is the best solution. So hard assets, any sort of real physical things, but Bitcoin and gold and silver and real estate, any commodities.
Great question.
So what the markets don't like is uncertainty, basically. So I think both, like a lot of stuff will pop right after an election, regardless of who wins, just by saying, okay, we know that the result is locked in now. Because right now everything's chaotic because no one knows what's going to happen. And that's always, the markets don't like that. They don't like uncertainty.
Complex question, wrong person to ask. You know, it's a very specific thing. It's like saying, hey, Che, if I watch the sun go down tonight, are my tomatoes going to ripen by lunchtime tomorrow?
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, these systems are very dynamic, very volatile, very changing all the time, and especially now with respect to this virus, because there's a rumor that this company may have a vaccine and certain things skyrocket, you know, inadvertently as a result. So complex. And I will say this much with respect to the financial system and a financial collapse, the most intelligent people that I know that are under preparedness, you know, I think I'm somewhat of a smart guy. The people that I think are just super intelligent believe that a financial collapse is inevitable. The system is designed in such a way that it's going to eat itself, and it's just, you know, we're playing with virtual money doesn't exist. The amount of money that we have in circulation compared to what is out there with loans, debts, all that sort of thing is there's some major issues there. So is Bitcoin or any other virtual currencies going to go up or down or sideways? I have no idea.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about in real terms. I think there's a really good chance of them going up in nominal terms as all these countries just basically inflate their currencies. But in terms of purchasing power, yeah, no, I don't think so.
I haven't been watching them lately, a lot of these channels, because it seems to be they've sold out a bit. Peak Prosperity, which had Chris Martenson was the epidemiologist, and he's been sort of a sellout lately. But his business, yeah.
With what? I haven't watched his videos in weeks.
He had one video where he gave this huge speech about this analogy of trusting somebody you've never spoken to before, about being an expert, and then the whole video was basically a pitch for this online marketing, for one of their online courses. The whole thing was a pitch. Then he had his fiance out there once in a video, and I think it was in that video, she's dropping rose petals and everything's beautiful, and sign up to this thing. Yeah, it was just disappointing. I think what started it off was they did a video about what to do during quarantine and how to deal with the psychological effects and all the sort of things that come with it. And I thought, I don't know that Chris, we got the epidemiologist and we have some sort of financial expert, or at least that's the impression that I get. They're not preppers, but they're teaching preparedness. Granted, half the people on YouTube promoting preparedness are not preppers either. But
your mic is still rubbing around a little bit.
Oh, sorry, buddy. At least I come from a point where I've done the cold water immersion.
Dude, I hate cold water.
We blindfolded ourselves one day and tried to started a fire. We had a competition.
That's awesome.
There's starvation. Intentionally starved ourselves to, just to test ourselves psychologically. And yet, Peak Prosperity is, this is what you got to do because we're the experts. Not that I'm any expert, but I think I've got a little bit more experience.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's examples like that made me, question their integrity. Hello to Terry B from Kawartha.
We got one here. Oh, you have a question or?
No, it's just somebody saying hi. And there was another one saying something about cool background from Mark Olson. And it's different. And even Eric didn't say anything. It's like, yes, no rabbit. I guess he didn't like the rabbit in the background, eh?
Yeah, I like that background.
This background, but you were happy that you saw this and that the rabbit background was gone. You didn't like the rabbit background.
The rabbit background was weird, yeah.
Rabbit, you didn't like it.
Yeah, it was weird. No, it didn't bother me. I don't have a problem with it.
It's just a picture. It
was just random. It was just random, yeah. Mark or Wilson Deplorable says, you're going to do a prediction video like you did in 2016. That's how I found your channel, by the way. It's our 4-year anniversary and you didn't get me anything. Oh, shucks. I actually did do a prediction video already. And for some reason, it didn't do nearly as well. I think everyone missed it or YouTube hit it. But it was a week or two ago. I'm probably going to do another update this week to tell what I've changed about since then. But it was my official prediction video for the electoral college results. So if you can check it out on the channel, it's up there. I predicted that Trump will get between 316 and 345 electoral votes, but my official guess I think was 321, if I'm not mistaken. And I'll do another update this week because I don't think it's really changed much, but it's up there. So check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, all caps, if you have a question for us, MJ asks, do you think that Joe Biden has dementia, possibly early signs of Alzheimer's? I think there's something definitely happening there from a cognitive perspective. I mean, usually me and Eric, we're just shooting the shit here. Half the time I'm having a pint or two, but we're still, we can still intelligently communicate. I've seen in the middle of the daytime, Joe Biden giving a speech and he loses his train of thought and there's there's something going on there with him psychologically for sure. I don't think he's as sharp as he was. I'll put it that way. And what it is, and if it's early, I don't know. What would you do? What would is there some sort of if he knew he had dementia or early signs of Alzheimer's, does that disqualify him from even applying? Wouldn't that be a
I mean,
weird thing to do?
I think if you're being
Speaking of beer,
if you're having it, yeah, right. I got mine wrapped up in is that the Molson's? Is that what you got?
that's right. We got beer. I don't know what you guys drink down there.
I was a piss water, Miller Lite.
5% alcohol is.
I think it's just 3.5, 4.5, something like that.
Oh, gosh,
I don't know what is Miller Lite.
it's a shame.
I don't even know. Does it say on here?
I don't even want to hear it.
4.2. 4.2. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. All right.
That's
But
okay.
I mean, I think he has something cognitive going on, like Shay was saying. I'm not a doctor, and even a doctor wouldn't give an official diagnosis just from videos. But I mean, you could compare to videos of himself speaking way like less than 10 years ago, and he speaks clear. He's always goes off on weird tangents and stupid stories, but like the little mumbling and just totally forgetting where he's at and going off on this bizarre shit. Like he definitely has something going on that has happened pretty quickly within the past 5 years, I'd say, or less. So I definitely think, yeah, his health is failing pretty badly. He also asks, oh, before we read a question.
I was just going to say, to compliment what you're saying, he did have brain surgery. I didn't.
Yeah, he had multiple, or at least one aneurysm of some kind, minor hemorrhaging.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's obviously it could be just physical trauma related to that. Who knows? But he says, "Are you giving Trump Minnesota and New Hampshire?" I think Minnesota for sure was on my list. I think I don't remember if I said he'd get New Hampshire or not. I'll have to watch the video again. But I think it's in play for sure. As to whether or not I officially think he'll get it, I'll have to go back over it. But I'm predicting that he gets Minnesota this time. He was like 10,000 votes off last time, something really razor thin. And now there was all the riots and everything crazy going on there that is definitely going to push people into his camp. So I think he'll get it this time.
Evil Blonde, Mike's Hard Lemonade, beverage of choice this evening.
Zima.
That was like a big thing back in the 90s. When
It
first
was
came out.
too much sugar though. It's like the hard cider. It's like I'll have one something maybe, but then I'm like,
yeah. However, back to the Biden thing, it could be very entertaining, especially as a Canadian. And I keep on sort of putting up that defense wall, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
We're watching this, and it is very entertaining to see how things are playing out, and these irrational actions with the left and whatnot. But if Biden did win, imagine if he did have dementia, and imagine if he did, he's empowered. He says, okay, let's, he writes some sort of policies. Everybody's going to wear a red hat today, red hat day. And he just comes up with these weird, bizarre things because he's off his rocker,
Well, that's the thing. I think that he will get replaced pretty quick. They don't care about him. They just want their people and the whole camp. So I think if he were to win, he would disappear. You would see him almost not at all for a few months. Like they would have him get through inauguration and everything else, and then probably by middle of 2021, they'd have him say, "Oh, this health problem," and then they would push Harris.
They're voting for Harris. I think a lot of people are voting for Harris. I don't like her.
Oh, she's horrible. She's one of the most unlikable people on that whole. Probably the most unlikable of all the Democratic candidates. She's fucking awful.
I remember seeing Judge Judy, and she was asked a question, something like, what did it feel like to be the first female judge, blah, 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 or lawyer, blah, blah, blah. Just look at it. It was never about being female. It was just, I was a lawyer. There's never about being a female judge. I was a judge. Like, I kind of like where she came from in that perspective. I don't know where she aligns politically, but I just heard this response, and she was just basically saying, look, it's not a gender thing. This is just the way it is. Where Kamala, whatever her name is, that was when you watch that the Pence debate. She was, I'm the first female, blah blah blah. I'm the female, Black power. I think it shouldn't be about you being a female or being black or colored or whatever. I don't care. Let the next 10 presidents, prime ministers all be, 1/4 Jamaican and 1/5 Filipino. I don't care. It's about finding the best candidate. And I don't understand how they use this as it's a fuel to say, well, I'm a female, and all the feminists like, yay!
Right. Yeah.
Vote for her because she has a.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Exactly. That's all it is. So it's definitely but that's what I think would happen if he won. She's half. Is she really black? She's half Indian and half black, if I'm not mistaken. So I've seen her refer to herself as Indian or black, depending on what suits her most at the time. But yeah, that's what if I'm
I
not
guess
mistaken.
whatever community she's in, trying to get votes.
Yeah, whatever would work the best for those.
Yep.
Those people.
Technically, I'm white. Technically,
Yeah, it says
you ever see
her right.
one? Yeah. I'm
Which
native.
one? No.
There's one lady that claimed to be native, and she was. I don't remember. There was a U.S. politician that was.
Oh, there was a couple people. I don't know if they were politicians. Oh, you mean Pocahontas? Yeah. Warren. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Senator
right.
Elizabeth Warren. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they tried to cover it up by they were like, they did a DNA test, and actually this was them releasing this information. They're like, there's evidence that she's 128 native blood or whatever, but if and like really,
okay.
And it was probably, if you look at like the genomes and everything, it's probably Mexican anyway, not like Native American.
Right. Yeah.
Like indigenous people, like whatever.
Dude, we are past meme time.
I've only got one meme, but I'll bust it out.
Okay.
I don't think I've played this one yet. So we'll let me share screen.
For those that are wondering, every week,
says,
I forgot last week, we share memes.
Due to the rising cost of ammunition, I will no longer be able to provide a warning shot. Thank you for your patience and understanding in these hard times. That's really all I got. So yeah, so send me your memes, rulethewasteland@gmail.com. And what I'm going to do is we're going to pick the best of the crop, probably the top, not super spicy ones. Obviously I don't want to get kicked off YouTube here, but then whatever we play on the next week's trifecta, whichever one is voted as being the best, I'm going to send the winner a set of the 4 tins, empty tins. You can make your own. It'll be 2 of the big ones, what I call the mini survival tins, and 2 of the micro, just the tins. So you can make your own kits, because these are a lot better than Altoid tins, because they actually screw shut. So. And if you want to buy those, they're on rulethewasteland.com. But whoever gets the best, it's a shameless plug. But whoever gets the best.
Plug it again. What's the email? Put the email in the chat window. So just while you're typing that in, ladies and gentlemen, send your memes. I'm not going on Facebook anymore that much, because it sucks balls, really.
It does.
It's a whole other story. And that was like my meme machine. That's why we get all these memes and post them here once we post these memes. And I'm getting older now. I need some entertainment. And the meme segments is very entertaining to me.
Yeah, and I know, and I'm kind of ashamed that I've been struggling to do enough. So it's rulethewasteland@gmail.com. It's in the description of any one of my videos. Saying it here, rulethewasteland@gmail.com. So obviously, even if they're really funny, if they're too spicy, I won't be able to play them on air. But feel free to send it anyway.
Yes, absolutely. I am going to.
Someone said that Keisha said that 300 blackout is impossible to find. Some of the sporting stores have removed the tags for blackout because they say they will never get it in stock again. Interesting. I've actually started, the last couple times I went shooting, I started picking up my brass, which I don't normally do. So shit, at this point, I might sell it to somebody, at least if there's shortages of everything.
That's one thing I've seen a lot of fluctuation with. We can try this again without any audio. There's always a weird audio thing that happens when I have the screen here.
It does have buzzing.
I'm going to share the screen, though. Show my
Yeah, that's kind of one of the benefits of having a common caliber guns, is that it can be easier to find. Oh, I think I've seen this.
I know, but it's hilarious. I love it. Okay, so for people that don't know, you draw a fly on your hand.
Like a smashed fly.
Yeah, a smashed fly. And you get this.
Then you can slap people with impunity. And then, it's because I killed this. And then he's even happy about it. They thank you for your service.
He's happy about it.
Yeah.
I love it. And I'm going to speaking of slapped, I'm going to get slapped for this. They're going to try to. Anyways, when Chuck Norris attends a feminist rally, he comes back with his shirt ironed. And 2 more. I don't know why I found this hilarious today. I don't know why. I posted on my Facebook. Speaking of not posting on Facebook.
I find birds to be hilarious, especially stupid ones.
Yeah, tired of being a bird, and the bird grabs a number. And this was got a mock JJ. Like, dude, what's
He's
up?
also
Like,
tired of being a bird.
yeah. It's like, yeah, I got to get that number too. This is his thumbnail from his U.S. election video that he did, and it was a good video, but he didn't really talk about the election. You have to send him to his Patreon for that.
Right.
And I just took the opportunity. I had to.
That's a good deep fake right there.
It's my my attempted Photoshop. Those are, I think I win the meme war this week, Eric.
Yeah. That's all we had. Someone said, who was it right here? Said, I do not understand the, it's CLM. I don't understand the 300 blackout boner unless subsonic suppressed. I agree. I think it would be good for if you have subsonic suppressed, but in general, I don't see what is so well. I've never shot it though, to be honest. So those of you who shoot 300 blackout, what are the big advantages here? Yeah, so it has better penetration, but so does 7.62 and 308, right? So what's the advantages? If you just like the AR platform, want something a little bit more powerful, you could do AR-10 or something. You know what I mean? Is it the cost? I don't know. Is it just
multiple factors?
I don't see anything wrong with it, but I don't see it to be specifically appealing to me either. Great for pistol length barrels. That makes sense. So similar ballistics, 7.62 at a couple hundred yards, but it's better for pistol length barrels. Okay, I can see that. And you still get to use an AR platform.
Terry, again, Che, where do we get
same mags? That's true. Good point.
Most current event ETC, if not on FB? I'm new and in Corthus. Where do we get most current events? No, ETC. I don't understand that. Most current events ETC.
I used to check Drudge, but they've been trash lately. They're just like totally. I think he sold it.
I'm assuming she means information. Where do we get the most current information, and with respect to what? With respect to COVID, the Trump election?
Honestly, for me, the best bet has been following a bunch of varied people on Twitter, and then not having them directly, but they'll post things, and then you can go from there to at least start your search. You know, because you have a bunch of different voices. Really quickly, you'll get news. So I usually start on Twitter and then go use that to begin my search for information. It's obviously not the end point.
You know, that's something I've got it in shameless plug to JJ, one of the originator of the Prepper Trifecta, on his Patreon page. Here's the guy that was just mocking a second ago, by the way, the photo.
Yeah.
He had talked about a system. He just logistically, this is where you start. And he talks about where he gets his information from. He talked about this months ago, and I never took him up on figuring out what those sources were specific to COVID. Do you remember him talking about that, Eric?
Yeah, it sounded like he had set up a good system. He said for like vetting a few sources and stuff. It was on his Patreon, I believe. And he said like he had basically created a system for that exact purpose, for getting quick information that's legitimate,
impartial, unbiased,
right? It's as partial as possible, right? So
yeah,
you'll have to go back and check on that. Because
I
like aggregators, like Drudge was good because it was an aggregator. It wasn't just opinion pieces. They wrote very few, if any, articles of their own, and they would just post links. But it's become incredibly biased now to where like they're only posting anti-Trump stuff. They're slower. They used to be fast. Like they'd be on stuff right away. Now they'll be late to the party on everything. So I took them off my thumb or my toolbar. I don't go there anymore. Like it's just, I think he sold it. It's just garbage now.
That's too bad.
Yeah. So I don't really know where to go now.
Fortunately for me, I'm very well connected, and people will contact me.
Right.
So
that helps.
Text,
that's
stuff like
so
that.
That's so much better if you can have that set up. Like I said, Twitter is like a way to kind of approximate that. They're not people who are actually actively reaching out to you, but if you follow enough people and they're in varied communities, varied industries, varied political beliefs and stuff, then it kind of has that same effect where they'll post something and you get to say, oh, at least I know about this. Now I can start trying to find information about it.
Yeah, and even there, you've got to filter what you hear too, and make your own determination on whether or not you believe it's real, valid, relevant, et cetera, et cetera. But I got a call. There's this one girl in Southern Ontario, Niagara-on-the-Lake, I think, St. Catharines, we'll say. She's a nurse. She's right in the system. And she just calls. She got a message the other day. Hey, blah, 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 blah. And this is what I'm seeing. And she's actually got U.S. citizenship too, so she's back. She's dual citizenship. She jumps back and forth.
Right on.
So it's cool to have that sort of unique perspective from people that are preppers and want to share their insights directly. So that's one facet. Another facet, at least historically, that I've been using is Reddit. There's something oddly unique about that. Maybe Eric, you can talk about too after. But my experience has been when you're looking for information or looking for something, it's sort of cool to get this impartial Reddit perspective from literally nobody, like somebody that's not famous. There's no incentive.
Right.
There's nothing. It's just, hey, what do you think about blah blah blah? And then there's people in this porthole that don't have an agenda. They're not looking for popularity. Majority of them, they're just saying, well, this is what I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a valid consideration for information.
Yeah, especially when you get a bunch of those voices. Like some of them obviously will have an agenda or be biased in whatever way, but I think the looking for like the unbiased news source is like a false god, so to speak. Like everyone is biased, and the people who try to pretend like they're not are usually the most deceptive. It's actually better to have a source to where you and them realize what their biases are, and then work from that point. Than to try people pretending that they're unbiased in any way. We all have our biases. Doesn't mean that it's going to cause us to give out faulty information, but you have to realize from what lens people are looking at things.
Sure, and there's confirmation biases. We're talking about cognitive dissonance. We're all wired in some respects to have some degree of leaning towards certain political parties, beliefs, morals, values, ethics, all those sorts of things. I think the important thing is to be respectful of opposing views to the point where if somebody's trying to protesting something on the street corner and you completely disagree, just be respectful of the fact that it's almost like a freedom of speech thing. Just cool, do that all day long. I'm glad you're free. Speak your mind. And I guess another aspect to that would be open to the idea of listening to what they have to say.
Yeah.
And you can quickly, for at least for me, and I'm sure for you, Eric, as well, because you're a smart guy, it's their perspective is usually filled with some sort of rhetoric bullshit that's right to decide your way is the right way as it is. So hearing that again and being respectful about it there's nothing wrong with that. Do you want to get somebody on, Eric?
Oh yeah, sure. If we have someone who can make it, we'll stick on our topic too, because we've been admonished by Wellston Deplorable. Who says, so what the hell's going to happen in 9 days? Are we going to have riots or what? Get back on track. We covered that a little bit earlier, but we'll make that the topic of if there's someone, because I can't stay on too much longer. So we have about 10 minutes left till the hour. So if someone is ready and willing to hop on like we did last week as a guest for 10 to 15 minutes,
comment, put it in the comments,
and then let me know, and we'll
random prepper.
Right, random prepper.
I guess I should say info. If you want to contact me directly, it's info@ontariopreppers.ca. info@ontariopreppers.ca. And let's get a guest on. Everybody's quiet. All of a sudden, they're nervous, camera shy.
Camera shy, not ready. Not ready for the big day.
You can be anonymous. You don't have to put the video on. You can just
it can be audio if you want.
Just be audio.
We could wear a mask.
You can wear a mask, wear a gorilla suit. I don't care.
Yeah, the gorilla suit. I went on a giant, awesome road trip one time all the way from Portland through national parks in California down through Vegas and back up through Yosemite and everything. We called it the Dicks Out for Harambe Memorial Tour. I had a gorilla mask that I took.
Sorry, the what? You
never heard of Harambe?
No, I heard
the gorilla. Dicks Out for Harambe.
No.
It was like, so Harambe the meme, the gorilla that got shot at the zoo. Somehow the internet decided that the way you honor Harambe is by getting your dick out. So the hashtag was Dicks Out for Harambe.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did the Dicks Out for Harambe Memorial Tour.
There's a passive, that almost slipped past my conscious mind. I was reading the comments here.
And you're like, what? Did you say Dicks Out?
Say Dicks Out? What the hell's going on there?
Yeah, so somehow the internet decided that's how you honor Harambe. You whip it out.
We've got okay. Well, you know, you
He was just
Americans.
he was just the symbol, the epitome of this raw masculine energy. You know, Harambe, the silverback gorilla. So yeah, that's how you honor his legacies, is whipping it out.
Wow.
Dicks out for Harambe.
Hey, you know, you guys do what you got to do. That's almost like such polarities of understanding. This is like going back to the hey, is Bitcoin gonna go up if you know?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I really like for whatever reason I'm immature and I like humor that mixes highbrow and crass vulgarities. I don't know why. So a little bit of both. So like, have you ever seen A Fish Called Wanda?
Sure. Yeah. Years ago.
He's like,
I don't remember this.
Where he's like, "You're quite the Vulgarian, aren't you?" And he's like, "You're the Vulgarian, you fuck."
I should watch the movie again.
That shit cracks me up. I don't know why.
It was a very unique original movie. That's
yeah,
for sure.
It was. I like his apology in that movie too, where he says something and then he's hanging him over the edge.
Upside down.
I apologize unreservedly. My comments are motivated completely by malice.
Yeah, that's one part that I do remember.
Yeah.
It's like out of only like 3 or 4. My mother found that movie hysterical, ironically. But I like about that particular scene is they were focused on his face upside down.
Right, so you don't know yet that he's like hanging. He's just giving this really formal apology.
Yes.
And he's just like, yes, I will endeavor to be better.
Yeah, and then the gentleman with the French fries up his nose.
Yeah.
With the stuttering.
Yeah. He's like, do gorillas read philosophy? He's like, yes, they do. They just don't understand it.
All right. Well, a few votes for Evil Blonde, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Doesn't look like she's happening.
7 minutes.
It's okay. So next time we don't have to do it this week if there's no one, if there's no takers.
Yeah.
But next week, get a couple of you guys are ready. We'll try to bring someone on for 10 or 15 minutes.
I've put the word out on Facebook. I'm trying to reach a 3%er. I kind of want to hear their insights. I know there was big backlash recently about Facebook banning so-called militia groups.
They're banning everybody lately. They've been really doing quite a purge. Twitter, Facebook, everybody. Anything that QAnon related or anything that they describe as a conspiracy theory of any kind. So
yeah, so it'd be great to get their. I'm hearing a few different stories, and one side is saying that 3%ers. There's a negative association or connotation. It's a militia. It's anti-government. And I'm hearing other perspectives, and I know one particular 3%er that's been communicating with, and it would be great to have a Q&A here.
Yeah.
With somebody anonymously. So I even said to them too, you guys can be anonymous.
Yeah, I got a potential guy that might be willing to do it who's a police officer. He might have a good insight into unrest too, something like that. So, because the next week will be basically 2 days before the election. So.
Yeah, that's going to be.
Keisha asks, remember the good old ammo days? The question we should be asking ourselves is, will we look back at late 2020 and consider it the good old days? God, I hope not. Because I remember when you could get like a brick of 1022 for like $6 or something.
Wow.
And even as little as like last year, you could get 100 rounds of 9mm for like $18 at Walmart or something like that. So it's gotten bad quick. And if Biden wins, I fear it will get much, much worse. Just in anticipation. So.
Sure. There was one prepper on Doomsday Preppers I saw years ago. I mean, a lot of it was a production. It was a show. Let's bug out 6 a.m. Everybody jump in your car and drive up to the mountain, sort of thing. But there was that 10% or 15% of the show, and some of these other survival shows that grabbed me. It's like, yeah, this is interesting. I like this. This is good information. You sort of catalog it in your mind. And one of them was a prepper that made his own ammo, like literally from scratch. He would. I don't know if he went as far as to, let's just say it was
propellant and everything.
Yeah, like he made the shells. He did everything. I thought, well,
wow.
That could be potentially very important.
Yeah.
Way down the road, but stockpiling in the meantime is
easier.
It's easier, yeah, but that's kind of super prepper security survival mode, isn't it?
For sure. Yeah, I wish I could get 40mm grenades. I've always loved those things.
Well, I'd love to get a tank.
Have you ever shot a Mark 19?
No.
Those are fun.
Okay. Well,
they're like an automatic 40mm grenade launcher.
We talked. Yeah. Okay. Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, that's fun.
If I come down there, we'll invite JJ too. We have to. Then we're going to shoot a lot of guns. If you come up here, we'll do some hunting.
Awesome,
we were talking before we got on the air
yeah.
here that I'll be. And I might do a broadcast from up north when I'm hunting in a couple weeks for deer. That'd be kind of cool. So you can see my little setup. It's just me. It's more of a solo thing late in the last couple of years, and no, there's no hut or cabin or anything. I rough it, go right into the bush, walk for kilometers every day, and hell yeah.
I'm about it.
So 3 minutes left. Let's take any last minute questions here from the awesome and loyal audience that we have.
Gallery, yes. And in general, I'll just recap what we've been covering. I'm personally expecting some unrest after the election, but right now, I don't think it's as bad as I probably would have predicted a month ago, 2 months ago. And I think that a massive Trump win is probably the best case scenario, whereas a close Biden win is probably the worst case scenario. But in either case, I think there will be some unrest, and I think the best bet is just to have enough supplies and stuff that you don't have to do much other than work and house for a week or two, just in case. I think for most people, that'll be just fine.
Agreed.
And if you're really in one of these hot spots, maybe think about being somewhere else for a week. You know what I mean?
Not a bad idea, especially having contingency plans with other locations. So, Mark Olson hit the like button.
Yeah, DeBoss K decided to come out to us on our show. So
congratulations.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. It'll be a first, eh? And they say too in California, that's how the wildfires started. It was a
gender reveal party.
Yeah, some idiot has some sort of device that's, I'm a boy or blah 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 blah.
Well, it was for a new baby, I think, right? Like a gender reveal. So they're telling.
A baby?
Yeah, they do this thing now that like when you're having a baby, it's like one of the extra parties they want to have is when you tell everyone whether it's going to be a boy or a girl, aka a gender reveal. So then they have these devices they're coming up with all these weird ways to show either pink or blue. So it's like supposed to explode powder everywhere, like blue or pink powder, and it lit the grassy field on fire and caused a giant
So they could almost like signify, they can't just tell their friends, hey, it's a boy, or hey.
Right, they got to make an event out of it.
An event, and it's like this pinnacle, this one moment in time where it's retarded.
Just imagine that, like you spend, I don't know, what do you spend, like $1,000 on this party to tell your friends that it's going to be a boy or girl? Was if you just like put that in the stock market, they could probably go to college in 20 years for free.
Feelings supersede logic.
Like no, but instead we burned down half the state of California.
Yeah, just like the most asinine reason for the state to catch on fire. Really.
Oh man.
I thought it was gender reveal. Like there's some, I don't know, pansexual idiot that, dresses all tight.
I mean, that happens. But
hey, I identify as, whatever nonsensical.
I'm 18 of the 57 genders.
I'm 18. You about this one dude. We'll leave it at this because this is batshit crazy to me. These sorts of stories I think about, like I look at historically. We go back in time. We burned witches. We thought, oh, you're a witch. We're gonna tie stones to your legs, throw you in the water. If you float, then you're a witch. If you sink, then you've died your Christian death.
Right.
Everything is, it's, or we push you off a cliff. It's saying, if you fall, and you're a good Christian woman, but if you flew away, then you're a witch. That sort of barbaric mentality, in some respects, is what I'm seeing now today, and it's very, very, very entertaining to me as a human being to see other people around the planet have these odd motivations for gender reveal parties and safe places, and it's almost like the polarity of preparedness, because generally speaking 90% of preppers are right, like politically aligned right,
at least somewhat, right?
Somewhat, at least on the right. There's not a lot of leftist preparedness people. I think there's definitely connection there.
I think the leftist types that would be preppers end up being like commune style hippies, like return to the land types. So that's the leftist version, I would think. You know what I mean?
Well,
Where they go
fair
live
enough.
on a farm or
Maybe.
something and just be super
Yeah.
hippies.
Super hippies. Yes, you're right. They are out there for sure, but I don't think they're. I wouldn't call them preppers.
Exactly. Yeah. I just think
'Cause
that
I've
type
been
of mindset, if they also are leftist, that's kind of where it goes.
Yeah, and I've been to a few gatherings here in Ontario, Headwaters gathering, Harvest gathering, which I don't go to that one anymore. Different, like where there's people doing friction fire and dressed up like deer skins and things like that, and real hippies, like dreadlock, girls that don't shave their pits, sort of stuff.
Right.
Like real left, and they're more about
That stuff's
peace,
horrible.
love, and empathy, and as opposed to.
Well, that reminds me of what we were just talking about. I remembered a meme talking about the genders. So I got one more meme for you guys.
Let's do it.
So it's
All
the
right,
Galaxy Brain
name.
tank. It says there are a spectrum of genders. That's like the monkey brain version. Then there are 2 genders, but the real Galaxy Brain, the real Galaxy Brain take is that there are only one gender. Women are objects. Terrible.
It's funny because it's true.
And with
That's
that,
good.
I think
And
we'll
with
call
that,
it.
we better get out of here while we can.
Right, exactly. So I thank you guys all for watching. Yeah, like just to remind everyone, or if you weren't watching a few minutes ago, send your memes to rulethewasteland@gmail.com. And of the ones that are not too spicy and can actually make it on air next week, we'll choose a winner. And the winner will get 4 of the Rule the Wasteland survival tins. You get 2 of the mini ones and 2 of the micro ones that you can use to create your own survival kits of whatever you want, fire kits, fishing kits, whatever. And they're better than Altoid tins because they actually will stay shut on you. So if you want to buy some of those, just go to rulethewasteland.com. Shameless plug, number 2.
Rulethewasteland.com. Very cool
Sure.
URL. Always a pleasure, Eric. Appreciate it.
You too, sir. And
Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful evening. It's Che checking out. I'm going to go hunting next week, and maybe I'll take you with me. Make a video or 2 up there. But I'll definitely be here next week. 9 p.m.